Test 1, 2, 3. Test.
Hello, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Georgina Gomez. I'm the convener of the major on governance and development policy. And I'm here with two of our current students.
Claudia Espinal from Colombia.
My name is Anwar. I'm from Uzbekistan.
So welcome to our webinar. I would like to introduce the ISS MA program. As you know, we offer this master's degree of 15.5 months, which counts for 88 credits, and we call it MA in Development Studies. But then you can choose 5 areas to specialize. We call them majors, and we specifically represent the major on governance and development policy, which we call GDP. It's one of those acronyms that you will learn once you arrive, and you will become GDPers. What are the key features of our MA program? Well, first of all, we offer a uniquely international environment and a diverse learning experience. The program also offers the opportunity to do individual research through what we call a research paper. In other institutes, it's called thesis or dissertation. And for this, GDP, our major, offers a competitive subsidy that you can use to pay your fieldwork expenses if you wish to do fieldwork. All the courses in the program integrate theory, practice, and policy, so we are not just practice-oriented, but theory-oriented as well. In this major, the focus is specifically on the processes and problems of governance, policy, and local economic development, and how these work out in the everyday lives of people. We also pay attention to concrete governance and policy dimensions, such as the role of actors of democracy and public-private community partnerships, the need for capacity and adequate planning systems, and the detrimental effects of corruption, of course. Now, there are some key theoretical approaches, which are mainly public policy and political economy, but as I said before, we offer this balance between theory, policy, and practice. So we consider our program very suitable for policymakers and people that work in governments as well. And we focus on 2 areas of expertise. We call this a level of specialization in which you can focus your knowledge. And those are, first, public policy, that is the nature and practices of public sector institutions and organizations, as well as public sector reform. The second area of specialization are the local development strategies, and this one focuses on the policies and politics with a focus on local economic development and the scope for communities to engage in collective and state-focused action. And of course, we give a lot of importance to this interplay between the private and state and community actors in governance. I will introduce some of my colleagues in the GDP major, and they are Silvia Berg from Sweden, Erhard Berner from Germany, myself as convener, I'm from Argentina, Peter Noringa, who is Dutch, Farhad Mukhtarov, he's from Azerbaijan, and Sunil Tanka from India. So our teaching approach in general is precisely working with diversity. This is something that we have a very long track record of a diverse student body, and also in our projects and in our teaching. We use participatory lectures and discussions in class. We're very approachable, and this is something that we focus and we consider it very important to be able to discuss various matters with students, to be available all the time. We also put a lot of emphasis on teaching innovation, so we use multimedia material, interactive learning, simulation games, etc. We also have a number of study visits. We are actually going to go to Rome in a few days from today And we give much space to work on your own interests as well through assignments and research papers. Now, the structure of the MA program is perhaps a little bit difficult to follow. It's better if you see the table that is available in the website. But we have 3 very short foundation courses, and these are the only disciplinary courses in ISS. And at the same time, we have the core, the biggest course, which is the making of development theories. Then we go into the courses per major. We call these core courses. So you will choose 1 out of these 5. At the same time, we start with the preparation of the research paper. We start rather early, so you can think very well what you want to study or research. And then it's the new year. After Christmas and New Year, we start with the second term. And in the second term, there will be 1 core, compulsory course per major, and 1 you can choose. And in the third term, then you make, again, a choice for a course that you find especially interesting. So there is quite a lot of choice in our major, in our MA program. At the same time, we also have usually 2 research technique courses like qualitative interviewing or working with quantitative data and so on. And then after May or June, coursework ends, and then it's time for your research paper and your work individually on your thesis. So, well, you can have a good list of details and detailed courses in the website as well, but I spoke of term 1B, that would be November and December, the core course for our major. The course is called Development Policies and Practice, Interest, Conflict, and Cooperation. And then in the new year, January to March, you can choose between policy analysis and design, or poverty, gender and social protection, or promotion of local developments, in plural. In term 3, you can choose between development management and reforms, evaluation of development policy programs and projects, and then if you don't find either of these 2 courses of your interest, you can choose basically any of the courses available at ISS. And after that, it's time for the research paper, which will count for 27 credits. So that's the major project within your MA program. We offer 2 specializations if you wish to specialize. And those are, like I said, public policy and management and local development strategies. So I said specializations are in case you want to specialize. So your degree would be more or less like this. Your degree will say MA in Development Studies. Now, then you will choose a major. So I hope you will choose our major, GDP, Governance and Development Policy. And then you have the option of a further focusing of your expertise in what we call the specializations. And this means that there are 3 options. Not specializing at all, so you choose whatever you're interested in. Specializing within the major in these 2 areas I discussed before, public policy or local development. Or you can specialize outside the major. This is also possible. And then you take a consistent couple, that means 2 courses, outside the GDP major. And this is an example, a few examples of what people write about when they do their research papers. Well, we have people that research on the informal economy. There was a recent paper on this in Thailand, in Bangkok. People may evaluate various policies that they are used to, that they have worked with. For example, 2 years ago, we had a thesis on the public sector interorganizational challenges and strategies to address cross-cutting policy issues in Brazil. Or they may focus on aspects, for example, from reservation to public service provision, which was the impact of reservations for women in government on maternal health services. So we have a very, very broad choices to make so you can really pursue what you're interested in. Thank you. So now I give the floor or the camera to our students to add your
find all the information I needed. But before that, I remember that I exchanged a lot of emails with Darren and a lot of the members of the university because I wanted to fix my accommodation, to know more about the insurance I will get, about my visa, all of these procedures before coming to the university. And the university was quite helpful. I might say they actually fixed everything for me, even in terms of the scholarships I could actually applied for. The university gave me all the information. The university actually took me through the entire process, and at the end, I was so happy because it was so easy for me to get involved in the process. Then I came here, and during the introduction week, I have found that they have a lot of services, like let's say in mental health, because there are some issues here for us sometimes, being far away from our families. This is a new environment, a new culture, so you also need a special support in that area, which I have found that the university like promote this kind of let's say activities when we can actually get along with our other classmates, and also we have like sport activities that we can join. We have also access to doctor, let's say, that is very important. The university also give us information about which points we can actually go, for example, for a dentist, if we need a psychologist or any specialist. Like the university is really facilitating everything for us. So I like it a lot from the university.
Even the laundry machine is provided.
Oh, okay.
That's true. Yeah, well, it's amazing speech by our classmate. There is nothing to add, basically, but I will share my own experience. First of all, it's important to mention that admission office is super helpful in ISS because I was experiencing some issues with my visa and like when you apply through the StudioLink website, and they always reply super quickly. Like I don't know, in a couple of hours you already can get your email, receive your email with all the information which you need. So if you have any extra questions, don't hesitate. Always send email and to Darren or admission office. They always will help you with any questions you will have. And university was very welcome, and I like that ISS. I chose ISS because it's kind of a small university, so you always will feel like you are kind of family. I would I can say because you know the professors, and like you always build a relationship with your classmate, with the professor, with the staff in ISS, and they're always happy to help you in any issues. Is it connected with the academic issues, or just you have any problems outside of the university, like setting up in a new environment in The Hague? So please welcome, join us in GDP. And I should mention you will have a really good professor, Georgina. She's super helpful, and she's always trying to provide us with the best information what she can do, and like yeah.
But I wanted to mention that at the second part of my speech.
You see, we kind of complement each other. Yeah,
that's the teamwork.
That's true.
Well, thank you, Claudia and Anwar and Georgina, for your insights on how you feel currently about the class and the environment of ISS. But more specifically for the students, can you maybe explain a little bit more in depth on the class environment, how the diversity of the class is, and also maybe the teaching methods. Is it more assignment based or more theory based, practical? Maybe you can start with Claudia.
Okay, let's say in the first term you have like a basic courses, let's say, and you also have MOD that is like a very important course in my case because I learned a lot on different development theories. For me was essential. And these other basic courses it's at some point like a way of you catching up with the discussion of different theories from different perspectives, sociological perspectives, political perspectives, even anthropological perspectives of development. So for me, it was really, let's say, an advantage and benefit to be aware of these debates. The environment within the class with the students, we have a broad course. We have it's very international. I think it's more or less more than 35 nationalities talking together, talking to each other.
50, more than
Oh,
50 in
more
ISS.
okay, I was counting at 35. But it's really interesting because in class the discussion it's more around the knowledge that which of us have about certain topics. So it's very interesting to see what is going on in countries that you don't know anything about, and how we all have different perspectives about the same issue, and how actually development is experienced in different contexts in different ways. So for me, it has been actually a joyful experience and also a rich experience.
Well, thank you, Claudia. Anwar, maybe you can also share your thoughts and maybe talk a little bit more about the making of development. What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, yeah, we have really diverse class, and sometimes it's interesting to see how some development projects they apply it in these countries from where the students coming. So, and you can see the kind of real stories from the students, and it's good that we can share our knowledge. About MOD class, it's a class which starts in the first term and continue until a second term. So it's 1A and 1B, and it's kind of intense because you will have lectures, 3 lectures in a week, and also you have seminars in a small group where you always can discuss any issues. For example, if you don't understand anything during the lecture, you can come back to the seminar and discuss it with your classmates and also with the lecturer. So, and you will make a video as well during the MOD class, which I found really interesting because I never done it before. It was a good experience because it was kind of fun because you can producing your own video and you should come up with the idea and you should make it theoretical and also practical at the same time. So it's a lot of fun, and yeah, and you'll have to do the home take assignment first,
Yeah.
and after video, and after it's a second assignment. So it's kind of you do different tasks and different assignments, so you can. And now we have encounters in development, so it's kind of a continuation of MOD, and we usually make posters, which is also kind of new experience for me. So you always implement different kind of your skills during the masters in ISS.
So I would like to add something. What I also like from this MOD course is that we have a variety of professors in different sessions, and they also share their experiences in the file work. So I think that's for me, it was the most important part, seeing anthropologists talking about what is happening in Africa, for example, with music, how they are showing resistance and creating new initiatives to fight for what they have found fair. So it's all of this way of analyzing practices and what is these things telling us. Also, professors that are have been working in feminist area, they have been telling us what the debate is about, how we can actually read these new, let's say, movements or digital movements around the world claiming for like a fair treatment. Also, what I loved from this course is within workshops with other students from different majors, we can discuss the same topic. But what is really nice is that all of us have experience in different areas. For example, I'm a psychologist and also a sociologist. For example, Amber, what is your bachelor?
International relations.
International
Diplomacy.
relations. So we sit together in a table, and from our experience and background, we just share and we build up, of course, something more complete and with more, let's say, strength. We have also a bunch of essays in which we can actually show the professors that all of the insights and the readings, because we have a lot to read, are actually integrating. So it's hard work, but we have to do it. We have to show what we have learned. And also a lot of plenaries. We are a part of the class, so we are allowed to make a lot of questions to actually give our points of view, also to enrich the debate and the conversation. So it's a pretty nice course.
I would like to say
Sure, please.
that I'm also a graduate at ISS. I arrived here in 2001 and 2 for the master's degree with specialization in local development. I did my PhD at ISS and I kept on staying until now. So I also had the experience of what it means to be thinking, where am I going to sleep, and you know, and how is the rest of my life going to be like in this strange country so far away.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. There's a question perhaps for Georgina. A student wants to know what's the difference between GDP, the governance, and also the social policy for development. How much it overlaps, or does it overlap?
Yes, of course, there are overlaps, I would say, within all 5 majors, but these 2 in particular, in the case of GDP, we focus much more on public policies and governance in general. So we may be studying from public-private partnerships up to the education sector, or how to deliver safe drinking water, or clusters of small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurship. So we focus in general on policies. SPD, that's the social protection and development, will focus much more on poverty alleviation and in general on policies for reducing poverty or alleviating poverty.
Thank you very much, Georgina. Another question for Georgina. Would you care to explain a little bit about the foundation course? Because people want to know what does it entail, what you have to do.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that is, I think, quite special about the program in ISS is that it's interdisciplinary. All our courses are interdisciplinary, with the exception of the foundation courses, of which there are 3. And these are in sociology, in policy, and in economics. So you will take one course of each of the 3 sciences, and for each one of the disciplines, there's a choice of 1 out of 2. So, for example, for sociology, you would have the foundation, the intermediate course in sociology, but then if you already come with a sociology degree, then you can take the advanced sociology course. And the same is true for economics, in which you can also take it as an online distance learning modality. So you can actually stay in your classroom and just, you know, click in your computer and the class will come to you. And then in political science, again, you have an option of 2, an intermediate and an advanced one. So those are the only 3 courses, in fact, that are disciplinary, and they last for 5 weeks.
Maybe I can add.
Sure.
As
Please.
Yeah, because my experience is fresh.
Yep.
So,
You took the MOOC.
yeah, I took the MOOC, so I can maybe say about.
Explain what is MOOC.
MOOC is
Yeah.
an online course for, I think at the moment it's just for the economic foundation course, which is Introduction to the Economic Theories, the name of the course. And like from my own experience, I will recommend you not to take all advanced courses, because you just move to the new country, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, because don't forget it's all marks and it's all counted to your final degree. So the advantage of the MOOC is that you can do it from anywhere. If you have your laptop with you, just log in on the website. But don't forget that you have to pay for that. But if you're successful and you pass everything, you can get a refund, which
50 euros.
is 50 euros, yes, which is also good. And you will get a certificate, which maybe you can use later if it's going to be useful for you. So the foundation courses, I took Georgina's class for the sociology, and I took the advanced politics with Karim. So yeah, I would recommend you to not take all advanced courses, because give you just a bit time to set up and find out your own way how to study in ISS, because otherwise you can from the first term you can end up in a panicking and a stressful situation.
Yeah, and also for people that are not used to taking courses in English,
Studying,
that need a little bit more time to settle down in the Netherlands, or that have been away from classrooms and studying
For a
for
long
20
time.
years,
Yeah,
this is also
that's
something that we have quite a few students in that situation.
Well, thank you, Anwar and Georgina. A question perhaps for Georgina, but maybe the students can say something about it as well. They want to know if it's possible to do an internship, and whether does it carry any marks or something like that. And if they want to do an internship, when would be a good time to do an internship, and do you recommend it?
We do not require it, which means it's not assessed. So there are no internships that would carry a mark. However, a lot of students are interested in this internship. So we have a number of mechanisms and offers by which ISS provides information, facilitates information. Now, the time to do this is usually in the summer, but I'm pretty sure that you can talk about internships. I will
Go ahead.
Well, I will start. Yeah. So it's up to you again, because some students asking, like last week we had a research paper class when someone asked like how many hours you can spend on your dissertation and how like can you work at the same time. It's your own time management. Like from my own experience, I'm looking for internship now, and I was applying so for last couple of months. It depends like where you want to work, because for me the problem was I'm still unsuccessful actually, because for me the problem is that I don't have European nationality, and the organizations where I'm applied that sometimes they're required. But still you can find a lot of internships, because ISS working with the Oxfam. For example, yeah, in April they usually open a lot of vacancies where you can apply, and like spring and summer time, it's a kind of best time. Spring, I should say, is best time to start looking at it and applying, and summer start working, because our course finishing 27th of June.
Mm-hmm.
And on the 5th of July, you'll have your final submissions for all the essays on coursework, and after you're free until you have to submit your research paper. So you can use this time working and studying at the same time if you can handle it, but don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I think our program is quite heavy on workload. So I would not recommend an internship during the months of coursework. Also because I don't think people can have the time for that. However, in the summer and afterwards, while you write your research papers, it's about your own time management. I would say if students are aiming for high grades, if they want to pursue a PhD afterwards, I would probably advise against an internship because to get a really high grade in your research paper, you need to put everything into it. Time, mental space, energy, you have to give the best of yourself. But if you're satisfied with a more average grade, I suppose, then you can learn work experience in 2 days a week of an internship, for example, and then you do something different. And I think for some people this works very well because they are not just focusing on one thing all the time.
Oh,
I also would like to say
please.
something. The Hague, it's a city where you can find a lot of organizations, NGOs, and they are usually looking for people who join as an intern. So don't worry about that too much. And also there are projects within the university, and if you have a profile, you can also get a spot there as an assistant or helping professors within the project. Sometimes I'm not saying that it's something regular, but sometimes you also can do it. Also, there are a lot of offer here for part-time jobs for students, so that you can actually join. And also, as a student, I would recommend to do an internship during the courses because it's hard work, as I told you before. And if you want to do it like a good quality work, it's better just to focus on your priorities. So that is like getting a good stuff for your master. So that's where I would recommend, not during courses. After the courses are done, then it's a time.
Very good. Thank you, Claudia and Anwa and Georgina. A little bit a question about your future for the students. What are your goals after you complete GDP? What do you want to do? What's your plan?
That's a very interesting question. Because before coming to ISS, I had a completely different plan, but
Yeah.
now that I'm here experiencing the courses, seeing also the background of my professors, seeing what the world is demanding, I'm in a position in which I'm like open, because a lot of it's changing, and you have actually more possibilities than before. So you can actually work in any file, but it's also difficult to get, like, let's say, a name. You have to be a hard worker from the beginning, from being a student, being a hard worker, being all the time aware of that the world is going, and that you shouldn't be left behind. So yeah, I'm just open, learning a lot. I'm like in shock, I have to say, because I'm learning a lot. And there are topics that when I was living in Colombia, I would never think that it was actually possible to work in that areas, to think about it. But nowadays I'm like, oh my God, this is like a new world for me. So I'm pretty much open, just learning within my environment and just, yeah, see, because there is a lot of stuff to do still. So, yeah.
Anwar, your goal?
Well, maybe I should mention my background was like studying in UK, so I moved to Netherlands because I heard that I was reading a lot of like kind of websites and stuff like this, so you can find a job here and everything. So my plan is to settle down here, like to find a job here and stay. At least try to work for a couple of years and see how it is like living here and working at the same time. I'm open as Claudia, so because we are young, like I mean, any possibilities, I can move countries and everything. So, and my recommendation would be like just studying hard and try to build your networks, like participating in different events, meet new people, because for example I'm doing my specialization in local development, and I was thinking like about topics like clusters, and we had a lot of visits in local developments, like we went to the Aalsmeer, to the Westland, and it's a great experience. Like you're learning a lot, you're meeting new people, you start thinking in different ways, and like I came to ISS with one research paper topic, and now it changed completely because of the process of learning and like meeting new people. So it's great. It's a great opportunity, and I think if you're doing well and like you always focus on your study and you following all the like kind of things going around you, you'll be successful.
Well, thank you, Anwar and Claudia, for your insights on what you're going to do in the future. Very vague, but
Yeah.
well, that is life, isn't it? Talking about your career options, maybe also, Georgina, you can maybe explain a little bit of what your previous students have gone into. Means, yeah.
Okay, we stay in touch quite a bit with our students. Occasionally, they send us an email or Facebook, etc. They get married, they have babies, etc. So they continue with their lives, of course. But we just also get every now and then news about changing of jobs. Last year, somebody from Ecuador sent me a Facebook page to like because he has just opened a new business. I also know a graduate in Colombia of 2 or 3 years ago, and he opened his business, consultancy, giving advice and information on how to get scholarships to study abroad in Colombia. So, of course, this is a service that perhaps some people at the other side of the camera have even used, who knows. A lot of people go back to their previous jobs because this is required actually for some scholarships and by some sponsors that they actually want their people to come back. So some people have a job the day after they arrive back at home with their degrees, especially in the public sector. But then others, I would say, perhaps 10% pursue PhDs in ISS or elsewhere and engage in academic career. There's a number of people that work in the private sector. This is relatively small, especially in the corporate social responsibility areas. And then we have quite a few that become their own businesses as consultants in development. And actually, at the moment, I have a project in 6 Latin American countries. And in each one of these countries, there's a local team, local I mean per country. And all of these local teams have a leader that has been a graduate from ISS. So they have started their own business, and well, as you see, we keep in touch. And it's not uncommon when we get projects here that we contact them again saying, well, would you like to do this work for me as research assistants or directly as partners? We also have quite a number of graduates that go in the NGOs as part of international NGOs or that start their own NGO. So, well, those are the areas in which we would expect our graduates to continue their career. And I would say we also have a good number of people that try to stay. I'm not sure how many succeed, but definitely there's a good percentage that tries it.
Yeah, and to add to what Georgina said, the Dutch law allows you to stay for 1 year after you graduate in the Netherlands, but depends on the scholarship that you have. So just so you know. Thank you, Georgina, for that. Moving back to the students, maybe you want to explain, because I understand that both of you, one stays in a student accommodation at ISS and one stays outside the ISS. So that's really good. So maybe you can explain how is it to stay outside of the ISS? How was it? Is it difficult to find an accommodation or things like that?
Okay, I live with my boyfriend here in The Hague, and he was the one in charge of making the research. But from his own experience, it was difficult to find accommodation in The Hague. Actually, from the time he was looking for it, because a lot of people is trying to get into the city, because in September a lot of masters start here, so there is a lot of demand for places to stay. I would say that there are some advantages and some disadvantages. I will start with the advantages of living outside of Dorus or any other facility that the university has. And it's that we have more privacy. We have our own space. We have our own kitchen, bathroom, and we can study there. We have like our own life in that place. Also, we can actually enjoy the city. I feel like a citizen. I don't feel that much like a student. I feel like a citizen, and actually have to pay taxes. I received a letter like 2 weeks ago, and I have to pay 200 for something, 57 for euros for something else, a bunch of taxes that were like what?
Already.
Yeah, I'm talking about disadvantages, of course. So I'm a citizen living by my own. Another disadvantage is that I don't get a lot of like student meetings. You know, in each facility they have like little parties, and some girls have like the pajamas night and stuff like that. I don't make part of that, so it's yeah, a little bit of a negative thing. But I also have a network outside of my university. I have friends outside. I can go to local events that people here don't know. So it's yeah, you have some positive things, but also some negative things. I have to a contract per year, and until then I can't move. But I will move to something, let's say, cheaper, where I don't have to pay taxes. Let's see if I can find any place to stay. But in general terms, I feel happy in the place I am. I like my private type of life. So Amber.
Yes, I'm staying in the ISS accommodation, which is called Boytenam. It's kind of next to the city center. And university, when I applied for the masters in ISS, university provided me with this option, and I agreed straight because from my own experience studying abroad, like before in UK, it's really hard when you just move to the new place to find something by yourself or make a connection. So I don't know, sign the contract beforehand before you move to a new country. So it's better to take the advantage when university can provide you something. And it's good because you're always living with another students. Like in my accommodation, I have four students from my batch. Like during the exam time, we were discussing like what we need to study, what we need to cover, and like a lot of things which you can discuss during your free time. And it's also convenient because Doris and Bazarland just around the corner. So I mean, you probably can't finish your sandwich on your way to university because it's so close. And it's good because in Netherlands the weather is not really good. When it's rainy, it's better when you live somewhere close, so you can just walk quickly and not get wet. So yeah, I mean, there are again some advantages and disadvantages. Soon I'm planning to move to my own place because it's good. You see, you can do the same, like starting with the university accommodation, and after, when you have contacts, when you met people, when you kind of settle down in a new country, you can, if you're not happy, you can start looking to find something by yourself. And my advice, like, start to look with new friends, because when you start looking as a group or like 2 or 3 people together, it's easier to find something rather than something by yourself. That's basically.
Thank you very much for all these very useful tips for the students, because there was some questions about it. How is it like to stay in the
August. You move out in August.
No, I'm moving early because I found now the flight. I moved to Rotterdam.
Yeah.
But to get out of the contract, there is any penalization?
It depends because yeah, maybe it's important to mention, because in IS, the place where I'm living, which is called Boytenam, facilitated by ISS, and 2 other accommodation, if I'm not wrong, the Doris and Baseland, facilitated by the company which is called Duo. So when you try to move before the contract, you have to pay penalty. I think it's like 50 euro to break a contract. But in my case, I don't have to pay because it's all facilitated by ISS. I just had a conversation with the housing team and explained them the whole situation. So they were happy that I gave him. Just make sure that you tell them in advance if you want to move somewhere. And also you can apply, in some cases you can apply for the subsidy from the government. I'm not sure how it's called when you get the money back. I'm thinking the Doros can do, the people who live in Doros, they can do it. There are some, you can ask when you arrive to ISS, you can ask housing team or admission office, they can help you with that.
Well, thank you very much, Anwar. To the viewers, if you do not know, we have 4 accommodations which belongs to ISS. 2 of them are in walking distance, like literally 2 minutes, maybe even lesser, and one is maybe 5 minutes with your bike, and the other one is 10 minutes with your bicycle, which is close to the beach. So if you're thinking about staying at ISS, you'll be given a link in May or June for you to choose where you want to stay. Otherwise, you can also stay outside, like what Claudia is doing. Now, one last question, maybe for Georgina. If someone don't have a background in social sciences, would they still be eligible to apply for the GDP program?
Yes, we do have a number of people that biologists, for example, especially in the agrarian studies in general, but they come from a background in biology and they only get the social science background here in ISS. We've had a few of these students, they are eligible. Of course, you would need to show that you have an interest in social sciences and some knowledge in any of the social sciences. That would be helpful. And for the rest, you will just have to work a bit harder.
Yeah, thank you very much, Georgina. Now, I know I said one last question, but maybe let's say a last tip from the students, particularly I'm looking at, of how can the students who are going to come in a couple of months' time, what do they need to prepare mentally, physically, to come to ISS or to the Netherlands, because it's a whole new environment. You must have done the same thing, like looking at winter clothes, housing, as you mentioned. Do you have any last tips for the viewers?
Yeah, I think the most important is consider the weather, because especially we have a lot of the big number of students from Latin America and Africa as well. Because here in Netherlands, it's all like most of the time it's raining, unfortunately. But yeah, and during the winter it's quite windy. So if you can prepare, like bear in mind that you need to bring clothes which is appropriate for this weather condition, and also if you're planning to cycle outside, like it's really easy to get a bicycle, by the way. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's cost like, I don't know, the second hand around 70. It depends like how you can find, but there's also a company which called Swap Fillets, where you can rent a bike, and as a student per month you're paying 12 euro. And they're always fixing everything. They have an app. I'm using it, so I'm telling you from my own experience, because you have app and you just call them and they come in 2 hours to fix your bike if any issues happening with that. So it's kind of really comfortable to use it. Other tips, just prepare that you're gonna, mentally, yeah, because you're gonna, for some people it's really hard to like leave the family and come to a new country, but don't worry, because as I mentioned before and Claudia mentioned before, ISS team is very helpful and like friendly. Any issues you have, you can easily solve, and any problems, people always, even when you're just applying, all the team always happy to help you. So just prepare mentally that you have to study, but I guess when you apply, you know that you come for what you're coming. So prepare that you will need to study hard. Prepare for the weather, as I said. maybe if you never cooked before, maybe try to learn a bit how to cook by yourself. Maybe some helpful tip, because you will have to cook for yourself. Basically that's it. And Netherlands is really, like, from my own experience, a really friendly country. I mean, I moved here and I never had any problems with anything. So it's really easy to set up, and ISS give you time for that, so don't worry about too much about it.
So in my case, I don't know how to ride a bike, so I use the trams a lot. It's not that expensive. I have found we have a blue car, and with this blue car you can just join from the tram to the trains and any system within Holland. And here the transportation system is all connected, so it's really easy to get wherever you have to be. But the other problem is that you have to learn how to be on time everywhere. In Latin America, we're a little bit in control, but here everything has to be done in the time that it has to be done. So people here is very organized. They plan everything, so it's a completely different culture. So you have to be open to these changes, and you have to understand that you're coming to a culture in which you have to be the one that has to change a little bit to be able to fit in. And other things in terms of the weather. My skin, for example, I have to go to the doctor because my skin was suffering a lot from the wind, from the weather itself. So you have to be aware that you have to take some pills, some vitamins for your skin. Also, I got extra creams because I don't know. I have discovered here that my skin is really sensitive. Yeah, there is a lot of changes in your body. You also can gain weight, because it's winter. So you have to make sure about a diet that you can follow. Also prepare yourself for cooking by yourself, or you can spend a little bit more of money and eat outside. There are also cheap places to eat. What else? Mentally speaking, we have some students that were saying that they were depressed, that they were feeling like alone, and that they miss the family a lot. So what happened is that we'll go close to each other. We plan things together during Christmas. We call each other. We exchange messages. We try to get as much help as we could, because I didn't know that weather was so important in humans' behavior, but here I discovered that it is. So whenever you feel alone or depressed, just reach the person that you feel more comfortable with and try to do something about it. Don't stay isolated. And for example, also look for your teachers. Eugenia is a really good asset in this university. So yeah, that would be all.
Well,
the last thing, if I could
please,
say,
of course.
just one more thing is that staff, when we travel, we often organize alumni meeting because we really enjoy seeing them again. And normally we also see or meet prospective students. So for example, in April, I will be in Bogota, in Colombia, and I expect to meet some people. So just follow up in Facebook and so on. Perhaps there's a meeting that you can attend in your countries.
Well, very good. Thank you very much for your time, Georgina, Claudia, and Anwar. It's almost 3 o'clock now, so we would like to end this presentation, this webinar session. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.